My diagnosis is osteosarcoma in my left tibia. I had 2 tumours and I had a skip lesion. My consultants at Leeds said, because obviously we found it quite late, the tumours, her medical opinion was just go straight in with the chemotherapy, blast everything we could. So I didn't actually have time to save my eggs. So we're not sure if I will be able to have babies in later life. So that's what we did. We started chemotherapy early October. I actually had quite a lot of problems with chemo. We had gone down to Birmingham again to discuss my options with my surgeon, where he always says it's your choice if you want your leg off or to save it. But my personal choice was I thought that I couldn't move on from the cancer if I had my leg. So me and my grandma made the decision to have it amputated in January of 2021, and that went pretty smoothly actually. It went very well. My surgeons was amazing with everything. It's probably not best to go on with the chemotherapy as it was doing so much damage to me. In the April time I had scans again. I'm now in remission. I decided to go back to college to get some kind of normality back to my life again. I'm now studying level 3 health and social diploma at college. I've also got my prosthetic leg, so I'm learning to walk on that. And yeah, just back to normal life again.
Apart from the medical interventions and the clinical work you did, what other support did you get?
So in Leeds I got a lot of support. My nurses were very good. I had therapists I could talk to, social workers, and I also had a youth worker that I had, Kat. She was amazing. She was always there if I ever wanted to do anything, if I had any problems. I also had a teacher called Joe. He was amazing as well. We didn't really do much work though, we mainly played Mario Kart. While I was going through treatment, I did get support from my community nurses. They used to come and check my bloods, check my lines, check my dressing on my leg.
We will offer a 24/7 service as much as possible given the notice that we sometimes get. We activate it as and when needed, and so it is reliant on the staff being able to cover those hours. I've found that the staff are always absolutely willing, and we are able to cover, but it depends as well on the experience of the staff, because it's not something that we get a lot, and we cover a whole variety of things within the community. So we try and buddy up an experienced nurse with a less experienced practitioner, and deliver it as much as we can really. I think it was at a time when we had a lot of new staff, so we were trying to get people trained up. So we took that feedback, and now we try and have a much smaller team approach, which can be difficult because it depends how long the on-call goes on for, but we will try and introduce people gradually so that they've got a bit of consistency in that first week or two, and then we always try and do it so that there's at least one member of staff that they've already met and got a relationship with, and then we'll buddy them up with someone that we're then introducing. And that up to now has worked quite well. It does depend on staff availability and annual leave and sickness, and we do explain that to the families at the beginning now as well.
What is the difference between a community nurse's role in the community and the work you do here?
The work we do here is we're still community nurses and healthcare support workers, but we're a 24-hour, 7 days a week service for children with respite care. So we provide respite care. The children come each week just for a night, to give the parents a break, so we have that continuous support. Lots of activities, so based on what the child wants to do. So it may be that some children enjoy doing arts and crafts, We have lots of sensory play to encourage development, and we work with the schools and parents as well, so if the child's particularly developing in a certain area, then we'll try and promote that a little bit more.
It was very difficult at the time, and the support when we were actually in hospital was okay, but the problem is that we only have, I believe, 6 cardiac centres in the UK now. So we lived originally in Norwich, which meant we had to drive all the way down to London, and when I mean drive, I mean blue lighted ambulance for 2 hours in a blue light ambulance, sirens going 80 miles an hour all the way down to London. When he eventually crashed at 8 weeks. He had his first heart surgery at 8 weeks old, and then he had his second major surgery at 3.5 years old, and then lots of little surgeries in between that are called cardiac catheters.
Once the surgical interventions have been finished, then what's been your experience of the journey since then, and the support that you've had since then, and have you been able to easily access that support?
The only real support I have is from the hospice here at St Andrews, and I do occasionally phone up Little Hearts Matter for support there, but there's nothing through the council or through the education services. You get zero.
So what other support do you feel would be helpful to you?
My situation's slightly different from most parents because I have a healthcare background. So sometimes I just want to be mum. I don't want to be pointing out all the things that we need and issues that we need. I just want to be mum. And I found out that my background is heavily relied on. And sometimes I don't understand how other parents get through the system.
We got the results through the week before her first birthday. Yes, it's one of 4 very rare conditions that are all kind of similar-ish.
So what was the prognosis then?
So we were told that she probably wouldn't live beyond 3, and yeah, very, very, very unlikely that she'd live beyond that, and certainly no one with the condition had ever been known to live beyond 5. Those first initial month or 2, we had a lot of support. We had endless appointments. It felt a bit like the house was just swarmed on by different people. So we had the occupational therapist round, the physiotherapist round, the speech and language therapist round. We had all different people coming in and doing these assessments, which felt great and really, really helpful. And we got a load of equipment.
At the point of diagnosis, that you got quite a lot of support sort of pretty immediately.
Lots of practical stuff very
continue?
immediately. No. It got less because so much of what she needed was around equipment, and what we needed was around people to speak to that had kind of been through, who'd been through or were going through similar things, and then could respond, so that we could kind of come up with solutions with other people.
Did you not have that?
And they could respond, no, absolutely not. I mean, there were times before that where I phoned social services asking for support and I didn't get anything. I was regularly phoning them in tears, saying, I'm really struggling. And we just weren't eligible for anything at all. And then you were told that, there's children's continuing care. So literally we became eligible for that the week that she died. It's not, and we didn't need millions of pounds. We need to do everything we can to support them, and there is stuff out there, but we just don't have the speed in our processes and the responsiveness in our services to understand how these really very rare, complex conditions work, and there's no trust in families. At first, we didn't want the hospice because we'd been told that we had time. So I decided and that we needed just so that we knew the staff. We needed to engage and get used to it, and that was where we met the other people who'd said, oh yeah, I was also told that my kid was going to die when they were a baby, and now they're like 15, and now they're 25, and now they're... So that, and that was absolutely invaluable, just having that place where there were other people like Theo.
Allow them to have that time at home, because although the hospices are fantastic, they are quite a long way away. So for the extended family, or for families that don't drive, it is a long way, and it has its difficulties in being able to get there. So us being able to provide care in the home allows them to be around the family and the support. They're looking at the moment within the workshops at the support, the holistic support, and I think the setup that we have with oncology children is really good, because we have the networking leads and there's always somebody on call there. That would be great if that could be developed for the complex children as well, and I know Martin House and some of the hospices have expanded that recently, but it would be great if we could have that across the region as well.
From the point of view of other parents sort of maybe starting this journey, what areas of improvement do you think could be addressed that might help improve the journey for them?
A booklet with knowing all the things that you can claim for, knowing all the services that are actually available in your area for disabled children, and education services.
Thinking back on your journey, what do you think is the best support that you had?
I would definitely say my youth worker, Kat, and my teacher, Jo. They was big helps throughout it all. Any questions I needed, any help, if I was feeling down, they were always there. If I was ever bored, I needed something to do, they was there. And I think they really helped support my grandma as well. When my grandma needed that sort of support and help, they was there for her as well.
Duchenne UK, which is a charity in UK, sent us a book and said, right, this is what, it's so rare, we put together this folder, and so we're going through the folder, even down to education. Elijah has only just started going full time this last term, because he's unsteady on his feet, and I think he scared his teachers to the point where they would want him to come home to have a nap. We were told that we should have an EHLCP in place for him. I've had to apply for that myself. The only thing I can say is occupational therapy have been really good. They came out and assessed the house and said, well, it's not really accessible for him because he struggles with stairs and things.
What's been the best support that you've had?
Annette Darnell has been amazing. She's from the disability social work team, and Andy's, the normality that they bring, the reassurance that they bring and the support that they offer. I know I've sat in forums with parents online who have said, oh yeah, our family's so good, and they come and they take our child for us when we're absolutely exhausted, or they come and they'll attend appointments with us, or we don't have that. So the only sort of support we have that would be as close to a family would be here.
What do you think is the single most important area of improvement from your journey? What would have been the most useful thing to you that didn't happen?
Consistency of someone who was assigned to your family, because I never realised how difficult the journey is. You're dealing with obviously the illness and the disability side, but you're also dealing with the grief of what your child will never have or do, and then you're dealing with siblings who are, they get left behind, they get they're just as affected as you are. And then you have this guilt that are you putting all your time into one child and you've got others, and how do they feel about it? And then they have a guilt that if they say anything, they then feel it's really difficult.
I always thought that the H word, me in hospice, was the terrifying words and where children just go to die. I didn't realise that you could have like daycare and that they can mix with their peers and children with similar conditions, that they could have days out, that the parents could have respite care. It was a terrifying word for me, and when it was first mentioned to me I just burst into tears, not the hospice.
Everything really, we do a bit of everything. From your clinical skills down to making pictures, craft work, making memories. So we sort of see the family as soon as they come into us, and we do follow some right the way through to when they leave us, which is not always the nice side of everything, but yeah, we do. We see the journey from the very beginning right until the end. Sort of the aim of everything is to make everyone feel involved, and that it's not such a scary sort of time as they feel like they're going through, and that we are there to sort of be there for them whenever they need, and just to sort of make it as normal as it can be for them, and just to make sure everything is going the way they'd like it to, and sort of happy and memorable as it can be. They might have been given sort of a time frame on sort of the life expectancy, and we sort of fulfill things within that. Say if it was a trip to the beach that they could not do, sort of they've wanted to do it maybe when the child was 5, but if they're not going to live till 5, we can do that here and now if it's all sort of safe and possible to do.
All the staff are crazy. They're mad, they're lovely, they're wonderful, they're empathetic. They're here for your parents if they need to sit down and go in and have a cry and get something off your chest. They're there for you. The hospice are always amazing, and they're always here for us. That's probably the best support we've ever had, is the hospice.
I think my advice to other parents is speak to other parents with kids with disabilities. I was part of this Sunflowers Children Actions group. That's brilliant. It connects you with other parents. He goes to a disability football team on a Saturday morning, and that's linked us in with other kids and parents, and they're your support, they're your network. It's so isolating and lonely, these journeys, they are.
I think what we're seeing is children living with these conditions that are progressive, life-limiting conditions, but they're often associated with multiple different specialities involved in their care, and I think that's where it can become disjointed, because they may be under neurology, they may be under urology, maybe under cardiology, but which one, who's taking lead, who pulls all of that together? And I think that can be where it maybe doesn't happen quite so well in some cases. That's not saying that's for all, but I think that's where potentially it does become lost a little bit.
Yeah, because I think each area is focused on their area, that there's not, it's that holistic approach that's kind of lacking. It'd be great if you could have one person, say at Sheffield, that could advocate hospices, or they could be involved with the MDTs and go to all the meetings, and then that would be a brilliant opportunity then to kind of bridge that gap.
What are the areas of improvement that you are currently thinking about or working on?
There's a need for hospice at home provision, so we've been doing a lot with that, haven't we? So that's staff from the hospice going out to a family home and supporting the child in the home, so either with the family member or guardian being present, or to give them an opportunity to maybe go for a coffee for a couple of hours, or so that we can play with the child, or do different activities with the child.
We know that there is a higher proportion of children that are living out there with these life-limiting illnesses, and it's about how do we capture all of those children. Our goal would be to try and then have centres which would be then closer to home. So we find that obviously there's families that want respite, there's families that want daycare, there's families that want some care within the home, but how, for those families living further afield, how do we get to them? How do we deliver care nearer to them? Some of that we would like to deliver is trying to think of information of can we do sessions with parents around education. Can we bring in some of the specialists to do talks and group sessions? It doesn't all have to be about respite and end of life, it's about all of the other things that we can offer as well. And I think that's really valid for us as a hospice, that we need to make sure that the provisions that we deliver meet the needs of all of these children and young people and their families that are living with a life-limiting illness, and making sure that that care is accessible to everybody in some shape or form.
Are there any examples of good practice that you can think of?
Loads. I think we're proud of the support that we give. If we can't provide the provision that ideally we'd like to do, then we're going out to the hospital, we're supporting the family there, we're supporting the child there, and we're trying to make a difference. I've been to a wedding before and taken, the patient has been with us, and then his family or parents have got married, so in order so they could get ready for the wedding, the child stayed with us, and then we've actually taken him to the wedding and got him dressed in his page boy suit, and stayed at the wedding with him, and how it's just taking the pressure off the parents.
I think it's making a home away from home for these families. I think that's really lovely that they trust us to look after their child in an environment that feels like home.
Yeah.
That's full of fun. I think that's brilliant. It's nice to see that there's a lot of care and developments within the hospital settings as well that is really taking on palliative care. So some of these children that aren't able to be transferred because they're so poorly, that actually there's a lot of work being done within big tertiary centres that are providing these comforting environments for that care to be taken place. And I think it's about, we're all working together, we are working together and seeing how we can advance palliative care for children. I think that we recognise that there is so much more that can be done, and we are trying to work together to make those provisions better.
The hospice are always amazing, and they're always here for us. That's probably the best support we've ever had, is the hospice.
Sort of the aim of everything is to make everyone feel involved, and that it's not such a scary sort of time as they feel like they're going through.
That would be a brilliant opportunity then to kind of bridge that gap.
We're all working together, we are working together and seeing how we can advance palliative care for children.
It's really difficult, so isolating and lonely, these journeys, they are.